that's okay to talk about. And so I would love for the goal of this episode to be to learn and to be openly curious so that we can better have open discussions about mental health and fitness.
100%. And, Jonathan, you made a great point. The clarification of this episode, we are not about to talk about your clients and what challenges they may have.
This is the Online Trainer Show. Trainer Show. Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show.
We shouldn't have a podcast.
It shows me that I'm clearly paying you far too much money if you can afford $160 on the rental of a children's movie.
That's Amber. She's just like making it rain on, movies for kids.
All that
recklessly.
All that money that we gave you as a raise and as a bonus last year, I feel like all of that is going straight to renting children's movies.
Wait, people in your company get bonuses? What? Right. What?
Well, this is news to me and Catalina.
Here's the thing, Carolina. Here's the thing, Carolina. When you actually understand what's going to happen in your industry because you're not blind, and you get ahead of it by building an online component, you actually have a good year in your business when that thing that happens is exactly what everybody kind of thought was going to happen.
It happened.
Right. And so we were able to pay our people bonuses, which was nice.
Paid out. Jonathan paid out dozens of dollars in bonuses.
Not podcast hosts. Not podcast hosts did not get a bonus. But
we're essential workers, damn it.
I hope you have gotten your vaccination.
Made 10 to 20 people dozenaires this
That's
Christmas
right.
for bonuses. Legit dozenaire.
So can I talk about the episode that I wasn't at? Because I've listened to one of them now.
Yes.
I talk about it.
I didn't even listen.
The first episode that I missed, where you guys recorded without me, went live this morning, and I listened to it, and I was upset this morning.
Why?
It was good. It was good because I was training legs, so I was able to put another 10 pounds on the bar on the deadlift because I was so upset.
Nice.
But
based on anger
now
alone.
my butt hurts. So basically what I'm saying, the podcast was so well structured and what you were talking about was so logical and delivered so much value and had so few interruptions and such a short nonsense period at the beginning where you got to the actual value so quickly. It did our audience such a disservice. I feel like I'm not allowed to step away from my own production ever again.
I tell you what, Joe Brown 2020 will not be delivering a favorable rating of that episode. He's going all the way the other. This is the worst thing ever to come out of the personal trainer development. It was way too logical, not nonsensical in any way. I haven't listened to it, so I don't know.
You don't need to. It's like, oh look, I have a problem. Oh, they actually solved it. Oh, great. Like, throw it away. Like, who cares, man? If you wanted to.
Throw the whole podcast away.
If you wanted to actually learn something, you'd pick up a goddamn book. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man. If you've just gotten volume on your car radio, Jonathan Goodman is incensed over the lack of nonsense from the podcast episode where he did not appear. We're off the rails again, headed in the wrong direction, according to Jonathan. He may pull the plug on this thing after this episode. Because you're going to be away again, right?
I'm going to be away for one episode next week. Yeah, on Tuesday next week, you guys are going without me again. So prepare to skip an episode on your wherever you listen to podcasts, everybody. It's going to be whatever episode on February 16th comes 2 weeks after February 16th. But just like plan to do something that doesn't involve your phone that day is what I'm saying.
Jonathan Goodman preemptively boycotting, calling for a boycott on his own production. And that makes sense for our podcast. It's very, very logical. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I gotta go listen to that thing.
We should have redone the image
I gotta go
without
listen to
John for that episode. The online
really
trainer show
have.
without
We
John.
should erase,
Just
erase
do a really bad Photoshop job of just put like a black circle over top of my body. Just don't even like attempt to erase it well.
A black hole.
Or just like
Oh
a
my
big
gosh.
like comical smiley face over my face.
If you guys are for the photoshoppers out there, if you can get a great headshot of James Clear, please preemptively overlap his face onto Jonathan Goodman's face on the and we've got this picture is all over the internet. So when you go to the Online Trainer Show podcast, you just go ahead and copy the photo, pull it out, and find a great picture of James Clear smiling. Overlay that face over top of Jonathan Goodman's face, but don't change the name. It'll be treated that way. And get that over to Amber. Amber at ptdc.com. Is that correct? Okay.
Gotta figure out a way to wipe.
Let's get
gotta
that
figure
over
out a way
to
to wipe the smile off that guy's face.
Right.
So
This is
goddamn
fantastic.
eloquent all the time. Jesus.
I swear, the second podcast has a James Clear reference, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like
You
somebody,
guys
maybe
referenced
Keto
him in the
said
episode
something
that
about-
went live today.
Oh, well, there you go.
The episode that I wasn't there before I went off on how much I hate him, I hate him, I hate him, I hate him because he is so he's such a good communicator and he's so good at what he does that I hate him for it. And you guys referenced him in the episode like 2 weeks before I even told you this, which makes me even more upset and makes me hate him even more. James, if you're listening to this, which I assume you obviously are, then you know what, dude? Just turn this off. This is not for you.
You know what else? You know what else I hear? I hear he has 19-inch calves. I'm just throwing that out there. Putting it out there. I hear his calves are huge, like massive, like bowling ball calf muscles in his leg. And he's good at
And
hockey.
he's tall.
I mean, I'm just
And
throwing
he's
that
tall.
out there. Yeah. And he's
Does he
tall,
curl
right?
as well? Does he like curling?
Right. He's an expert 6'5" curler with 19-inch calf muscles. That's what James
He wasn't always a good curler. He just got 1% better every day, everybody.
He habit stacked his way to curling. That's every time he trained calves, he also curled, and that's how he habit stacked it because he loves curls. But enough about James Clear. We're legitimately not sad about having you back, Jonathan. So it's not bad for you to be here. Is what
Well, thank
Keto's like it's a little bit, you know. But it was definitely a shift. Like you miss one of the tires when they're gone. There's no question about it. It changed direction. I felt like I had to be way too responsible because you weren't here.
It's kind of like a baseball team. It's kind of like a baseball team. You got 9 players in the field, and if you're missing your right fielder, right, Carolina, then you don't miss it that much. Is what I'm saying. Unless you're playing a team that really knows how to hit oppo, right? Then you're in trouble.
Right.
But then when your
They
right
get to the right
fielder
field.
moves up, like what Carolina's done in 2021, where I mean she's carried the team. Right? So
been
this girl
amazing.
has moved up to
Been
second
amazing.
base. Is what I'm saying.
Probably.
Like she's turning double plays to end the
Probably
game all over. A couple of weeks ago, I feel like she had a metaphorical unassisted triple play when she ended the episode with just dropping straight fire as the seconds counted down to 1 o'clock. That was an unassisted triple play to end the game. That was like 1993 Toronto Blue Jays, where Kelly Gruber had a triple play in the World Series, but it didn't actually get called a triple play. Even though you can see in the picture that the glove with the ball is on Otis Nixon's foot, they still called him safe. Jay still won the World Series.
I don't know this reference. Yeah. This is baseball reference. I don't do baseball.
If you live in Canada, you've got to cling to like the 1990s if you like sports, because there really hasn't been much to celebrate other than that.
Well, that's true. Well, you guys
We
had
got
the
the
Raptors
Raptors.
for like 5
We got the
years.
Raptors.
That was good. That was good, right? It's much better than what's going down here in Carolina. I can tell you that. Not Carolina, not Catalina,
Not me.
in North Carolina. Distinguish the two. Although we don't know what train wrecks you may have encountered, we toyed with the idea when we first. Well, I toyed with the idea when we first started of having sort of a segment that was dubbed Carolina or Carolina. Where we talk about things that have gone awfully wrong, and you pick if it happened in the state of North Carolina or South Carolina, where Aaron and I live, or if it happened in Catalina's life. I may have to bring that back around at some point.
That's a good idea.
See what people.
I feel like we had a lot of good ideas.
Yeah,
and then we were like, bits seem like a lot of work, and so we just
a lot of responsibility.
Too much work.
Yeah.
Way too much responsibility for us. So speaking of Catalina, I know you had squirrels building a condominium in your walls. They've been expanding rapidly. Everything good there? Like, are the squirrels? Did you wake up
totally
early?
Woke up early thanks to Squirrel O'Clock. And aside from squirrels, guess what else I have? I have dun 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 century-old family mysteries. What? Yes,
Really?
I started trying to build my my family tree on my dad's side. And
really?
now like a crap load of my grandfather's siblings that we didn't even know existed are popping up. And so we're like, what is happening here? So it's been quite the ride. It is. When I have more conclusive information, I will bring it up because this is definitely exciting.
Can I ask you the question that all of us are wondering right now?
Yes.
Are there any bandits involved?
Not so far, because I'm only going through like birth and death certificates. I haven't actually delved into the history or the news of each of the characters. But I can assure you there's shady shit. For sure. There's got to be like, hello. I did not inherit this from nowhere. Like it came from somewhere, okay? So
Oh my God. The accuracy. There's Banditos? Is that the word? Banditos?
Banditos, yeah.
Okay.
We'll see. I'll let you know.
Yeah, let me know when there's a bandit.
so
I'm not interested if there's no bandits, but let me know when there's a bandit.
Bank robbers, like just regular thugs. Like I don't know. What are we looking for here? What's the level of like criminality?
Like legit Oregon Trail, like people jumping wagon motorcades.
All right, I will look for that. I will do my best to deliver.
Did you reference an Apple IIe computer video game just now? Oregon Trail? Is that what he said?
I mean, it's a good game as long as you can avoid getting dysteria.
Right.
Great game.
Your wagon driver has dysentery. So
every time you get to a river, you're like, I don't know if the horses are going to make it through. I don't know how deep this is.
Right, the horses never make it through. It's the only time I enjoyed math. So we got a big subject today. Like we're going to talk about some stuff. Like I'm not going to talk much about it, I don't think, but we got some stuff to talk about. And it's probably going to be another, as we've grown accustomed to in 2021. It's probably going to be another Catalina's time to shine. We're fine with it. Like we're at this point, she's a school bus, and we just hop on and let her take us to school. That's our progress. That's how we act. That's how we do it this year on the podcast. Carolina drives by, she pulls out the sign, we get on the bus, and we just ride wherever she wants to take, and then we get schooled.
Can I lay up this episode a little bit?
Please.
Tee it up, Jonathan. Throw the alley-oop.
I'm looking forward to learning in this episode a lot. And this is not going to be the type of episode where we are giving any answers or giving any advice or even any strategies.
Mm-hmm.
this is going to be an episode where we simply bring to light something that I feel like affects a lot of people, particularly a lot of people in the community. I mean, we know that to be true, and should not be behind the curtains, should be something that's openly discussed, should be something that's okay to talk about. And so I would love for the goal of this episode to be to learn and to be openly curious so that we can better have open discussions about mental health and fitness.
100%. And, you know, Jonathan, you made a great point. The clarification of this episode, we are not about to talk about your clients and what challenges they may have. We realize that that's not scope. We're talking about from business owners versus really depending on themselves to navigate their own income, how to handle it, what the discussion is from that side. So we're not about to advise you as what you should say to a client. That's not what this is. And Jonathan so brilliantly pointed that out in our title. You guys probably see the real right title, but before we had a shady title. No,
It's a shady title. I think
it wasn't the best title. Like it was a good title. I digress. Let's have the discussion. Like where do we start, Jonathan? I'm going to be quiet.
I mean, I
a little. I'll be a little quiet.
Carolina, I think you're best to start because this is something that you've had to navigate yourself. Right. So whatever you feel comfortable talking about, I mean, I'd love for you to kind of start this up.
Yeah, and I think that you guys scored really, like, you struck gold with me because I have like so few filters. Like, I'm okay with sharing like a lot. So you guys benefit from this. So that's great. And yeah, so I guess part of the disclaimer here is, of course, we are in no shape or form mental health professionals. What we share is based on our own experience. And if that sharing can be of any help to others, then that is kind of like the extent of what we're able to do here. And so the lens that I'm able to talk about struggling with mental health is that I struggle with anxiety. I'm prone to sometimes bouts of depression. And recently, what has come after a long time of period of taking care of myself and doing therapy and all this kind of stuff is that it's highly likely that I have undiagnosed ADHD. And so all of that kind of like comes together because a lot of people, like, I never would have thought of myself as somebody who struggled with ADHD just because there was so little information when I was growing up and all this kind of stuff, and I wasn't very well versed. But now that I understand it better, and with the help of my therapist, she's like, it's kind of textbook,
Are you still trying to pick your online training software? If so, let me make this easy for you. Go with PT Distinction. It's truly the best, and I'm not just saying that because they're our sponsor. We actually use PT Distinction for our own online fitness business, online trainer coaching, and we're really happy with it. From onboarding to programming to client communication, PT Distinction has everything you need to run your online fitness business smoothly, and it's super simple to use. Now, normally they offer a free 30-day trial, but as a listener of the Online Trainer Show, you get a free 60-day trial, so you can make sure you love them before spending a dime. If you want to deliver first-class service to your clients while reclaiming your time, then visit onlinetrainer.com/PTD to sign up for your free 60-day trial today. If you're a fitness nutrition coach that's looking to master online coaching so that you can help more people, make more money, and have more freedom, then the Online Trainer Academy can help. OTA gives you the framework, knowledge, and support to have predictable success with your online coaching business. From marketing to business development to how to assess and motivate your clients online, it is constantly updated and refreshed to keep up with a dynamic market. Not only that, OTA is proven. In 7 years, we've helped over 30,000 coaches in 87 countries go online. Truth is, we know what works. so you can get right to the success part. And in case you're busy working a full-time job or you're a full-time parent, know that you can go at your own pace. There's no deadlines to complete OTA and you have lifetime access. That said, if you are ready to make a rapid change and finish the course in the next 8 to 12 weeks, you can expect to invest 3 to 5 hours each week on the program. And here's the best part. If you join today, you will make an extra $1,000 a month in 90 days, or I'll give you your money back. So if you're ready to build the fitness business you want and make the money you deserve, go to onlinetrainer.com/academy to enroll today. And I hope to see you in there.
Book, you know, a lot of the stuff that we see here is kind of like on the spot. So don't discount any of that for yourself. It's not a bad thing. It's just, and it's not about, oh, why do you label yourself or whatever? Some people don't like labels, then don't use the label. If the label fits and if it's something that is helpful to you in terms of understanding how your brain functions and how you can function better, how you can optimize certain things about your life, then use it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even if you don't have a diagnosis, I do recommend looking into the information that there is about like strategies and coping mechanisms with ADHD, because they are truly helpful to a vast majority of people, whether you have the actual diagnosis or not. So it's just like really smart stuff to go about organization and reminders and little things like that that could help anyone. So yeah, it's worth looking into. And
Do you mind talking about, Carolina, the process? Like I said, I mean, I'm just curious. I'm here to learn. I would love, if you're okay talking about it, I would love to know about what was going through your head, what finally made you decide to begin therapy, and how you found a therapist, and what was going on there, right? Like how was it something you had thought about for a while? Was it something that was just like, damn, I got like how? Because I feel like a lot of people give, at least from what I hear, a lot of people give advice. Oh, you should go see a therapist, but it's like, there's probably different types of therapists. There's probably different levels of therapists. And how do you, at what stage are you, I don't know, I shouldn't say ready to, but at what stage are you there to do it? So I would love to hear your story leading up to your first encounter with a therapist and how that has kind of progressed, because I know that's been really meaningful and transformational for you.
Yeah. So therapy wise, I've always understood the value of therapy because I am a coach and I understand the value of coaching. And that is all that therapy is.
Right.
Therapy is a form of coaching. There's no, like, we have so many hangups and attachments, maybe sometimes inherited from our parents and older generations that didn't understand mental health for the normal thing that we understand it to be today. And so I basically see it as one more coach in my life, just as I have my own fitness coach and I have my business coach. I have my therapy coach who leads me through certain ways. In my case, specifically, my therapy is trauma-based therapy because there is a lot of trauma in my past, and it pops up in certain situations. For example, when we were talking in that episode about sexual harassment. And so that's something that, even though sexual harassment, like for example, catcalling on the street, it seems so innocuous to a lot of people, for somebody who has a history of sexual trauma and sexual abuse, that simple thing of catcalling triggers a lot of very difficult responses because there's like an unfinished business of something quite traumatic that happened in your past. And so that is the kind of trauma, it's trauma-based coaching that I have to do in my therapy, and it has helped insanely. Like it sounds so daunting for people.
Did you know that was the type of therapy you needed, or did you figure that out over the course of the therapy?
I figure, like, I've done therapy on and off throughout the years. I've tried different therapists because it's like a coaching relationship. You're gonna find a coach that fits you and that feels right for you. And so it got to the point where I kept trying and it didn't feel right. I kept trying again. Somebody else didn't feel right, until one day I was like, I need to cut the bull crap. I know that it's the trauma that's really the part that I need to address. And so I guess this is kind of like a little bit of a sign for anybody listening. If you have had traumatic experiences in your past, it's okay to admit that maybe now is the time to start really confronting that head on. And it sounds really scary, and the process can feel crappy because obviously it's a change and you're working through difficult things, but it's so freaking worth it. Trust me, it's worth it and it's necessary, and it makes so much of a difference when you're coming out on the other side.
How did you find your first therapist?
Googling. I would ask for recommendations. You got to remember that I came to Canada not knowing a single soul. So back then I didn't even have friends that I could ask for a referral. So I literally started Googling, and it was like a trial and error. I started Googling myself, like different kinds of therapies, and trying to figure out what strategy I would imagine would work for me and giving that a try. And so really just take it. It's almost like you're auditioning, right? Different kinds of therapists and different styles, and you're going to find one that feels really good for you.
That makes sense. I've got a question. So do you have like you had consultation with multiple coaches? Is that how it works, or phone consultation?
Yeah, so typically you show up for a first kind of like meeting, and you get a vibe, and very much like an intuition, and then you sense a person, so you can immediately feel if you're going to be comfortable speaking about certain things or if you're not. And it is a lengthy process. I think the biggest disservice that we have just in our society in general is that mental health is not included as part of our healthcare. I mean, in the US, it's even worse because your healthcare, you have to pay for absolutely everything. In Canada, we are very fortunate in that most of our healthcare, and if you have a baby or if you end up in emergency at the hospital or whatever, all of that is covered because you pay your taxes and they actually go to that. But mental health is not included in that. And that tells us a lot about how, as a society, we still don't value mental health the way that we should. It should be available for everyone. Like, the world would legitimately be an entirely different place if mental health was freely available and accessible to anyone who wanted it.
One of the things
that's a really interesting point.
Yeah, one of the things I was just going to add, if you work for a company, you might be able to request it. Because one of the things that we put into place for our Canadian employees, unfortunately, we couldn't extend it to Americans just yet. So, Amber, you don't qualify for it, but is an extended healthcare plan.
As an American, I can see.
Well, I mean, it's the American people that work for us are contractors, right? So it's a whole different category. Anyway, programs are just really stupidly complicated and bureaucratic. But one of the things that we put into place late last year, was a extended healthcare plan, and one of the things that we looked for to be included in that, which was a non-negotiable, was coverage for mental health.
That's amazing.
Which, I mean, for all of our staff, not saying that our staff, we don't know, to be honest. I mean, maybe they will use it, maybe they won't. It's totally up to them. But it was pretty important to us that it was covered there because, to your point, it's often not. But if you do work for a company and you have an extended healthcare plan, look into it. And if it's not, you can request it for it to be added, because it's pretty important. I mean, we see
it is, and I want to add to that, if I can extend on this. Almost every country has a variation of either organizations or something that facilitates either group therapy or online therapy or phone therapy or something. So maybe do that homework today and do a quick Googling your area for your country or whatever to see what's available, because there might be an option for you, even if you're not able to pay out of pocket. And it has cost me thousands upon thousands of dollars to put myself in therapy. And that, even as a single mom of 3, paying my own bills and living alone, that was like, when I decided this was the route that I was going to go, and I was not going to let it go till I started to see a betterment in the way that I was feeling. That was a game changer, and it put me in very dire at times financial situations, and I didn't care, because I was like, now therapy becomes my non-negotiable, and this is a thing that I have to do. It's a due that I have to pay to myself for my healing.
So I mean, I can talk about my experience a bit. I mean, I've never had to be medicated. I've never gone to I've never been in therapy, which is why I'm curious about it, because I wonder whether it would have helped me when I was younger. I thought that I was stupid for most of my schooling. This is still on the fence. But,
I can relate. Yeah, I felt that too. Yeah.
But I just, there were I struggled in school quite a bit, and it was interesting. I just learned different, right?
Yeah.
I mean, who knows if I were to go through school now with all of the different testing for various, along the spectrum, maybe I would have landed on there. I don't really know, but I learned to compensate my own ways. But I could never really write tests. Multiple choice tests, particularly. Like I would literally teach people the material the night before. They get a 95 on the test, I'd get a 60. And I just couldn't write it. And then what was interesting was that fourth year university, a lot of the courses that I was taking became short answer. I have an honors degree in kinesiology. And so the fourth year courses were like advanced muscle phys, right? And it was point counterpoint. It was like, we think that this process of metabolizing whatever goes on, but we're not quite sure, right? Argue the point or the counterpoint. And I got a 96%.
Wow.
Right? Because now I could explain things in my own words. And so I share this because a lot of the time I worry that people aren't given an opportunity to kind of do things their own way. They always are forced to fit into somebody else's pattern. Even in work, I mean, we joke here about how bad I am at running stuff. I am unbelievably bad at running things. And I'm also obsessed with immediate gratification. Talk about that, make whatever sexual jokes you want, Ren. But
I have no jokes.
But it's,
I'm not
I don't know if you've ever heard of the marshmallow test by Mishner, where
yes,
the actual efficacy of the test has been challenged. But the general premise is a bunch of kids were put into a room and had one marshmallow in front of them. It wasn't just marshmallows, there was Oreos and stuff like that, but marshmallows are the funniest. And they had a bunch of marshmallows in front of them. And then they were told by the researcher, they're like, all right, little Timmy, I got to go for 15 minutes. You're welcome to eat that marshmallow now, but if you don't eat that marshmallow, when I come back, I'm going to give you an additional marshmallow, which means you get 2. But if you eat that marshmallow right now, then you only get the 1, and I'm not going to give you another one when I get back. And look up YouTube marshmallow test videos because they're hilarious. You see these kids like trying not to eat the marshmallow. They're freaking hilarious. But then what was interesting was that they followed these kids for 20 years. And the kids who were able to delay gratification for greater gains further on, i.e. not eat the marshmallow because they knew they were going to get another one, seemed to measure high. And again, the efficacy of this has been challenged, but seemed to measure higher in all major elements of life, from love to business to all elements of success, whatever. And here's my problem with that. I would have eaten the shit out of that second marshmallow. Like, there is no chance that presenter would have been like, all right, you can eat the second, like it would have been gone. And so it begs the question, you hear all this stuff about people talking about procrastination and stuff, and they're like, oh, so like, if you can't delay gratification, like, are you screwed? Well, no, you need to build your own habits. I legitimately own the domain secondmarshmallow.com. I do. I look it up.
I remember
look it up. I own it because this point is so.
Google it.
Google it, man. I did that to you, Carolina, today. I told you to Google something. Hey, I can't find. Hey, tag the person who wrote the book. I can't find your book in the search, and I'm being lazy, and I don't want to search for it. It's like,
I'm like, I'm lazy. I don't want to look for it. Where's the link?
let me Google this for you, Carolina. Person's name, book. But it's, so what are so if you know that you're going to be addicted to gratification, I can't be like, oh, I want to write a book. Okay, I'm going to do all these painful things, and then one day I'm going to have a book. I can't go in and do a workout every single day knowing that there is going to be a big reward of my wife's going to think that I'm sexy and strong 6 months from now, right? Like that is not, I can't delay gratification. That doesn't work for me. So what I do in my life and in my business is I actually build in tiny little bits of immediate gratification that allow me to celebrate every small win, every positive action. because I'm addicted to those celebrations. So when I write a book, I call it the map and flip system. I put every section, 300 to 600 words, on a cue card, and I have it on one side of my computer, and I write that section, and then I flip it, I put it face down on the other side. That's my reward. When I work out, I take a dumb selfie and post it to my stories every single day that I finish the workout. That is for me. That's not for anybody else. That's my reward for doing the thing, right? And so
in answering your question that you had in the beginning, yes, therapy would have helped you. Like, I don't care what life situation you had going on. Like, in general, therapy would help anyone and everyone. I can guarantee that, just because, but we don't allow ourselves to kind of like expand into that domain of like admitting that maybe this is also for me. It's something that maybe we recommend to our clients. Well, but what about you, right? Like, what about your own stuff? And as a parent too, I'm like, now more than ever, because I'm parenting kids, I need to sort out through my stuff. Otherwise, I am bound to repeat cycles that I grew up with, that I no longer want. So if I'm not being smart about that, I'm just going to do the same shitty things to my kids that were done to me without my parents realizing it at the time that it was crappy, right? So like, we break cycles, but in the extent that we are courageous enough to even admit that there is a cycle to be broken.
would you say, Carolina, and I mean, Amber, you want to answer this too, but I know how much you love talking on the podcast. Did you guys know that Amber has a mic? We never knew that. We just figured it out.
We legit.
Well, you know why?
You found out.
You know why
today.
nobody knew that she had a mic is she forgot to plug it in all these times.
Apparently.
Oh, okay.
Your laptop. Come on, Jonathan.
Yeah.
I feel like this is one of
She
those.
said I did.
Like the podcast listeners.
We
They're having experience like those Facebook things where you see a child here for the first time after the doctors, sort of operate on their ears. I think that's what the podcast listeners are feeling, like hearing Amber's full voice for the first time. I feel like, continent wide, tears were just shed for hearing her actual full voice for the first time on the podcast.
People messaged me and they were like, hey, I just watched the YouTube because I needed to see what the video was like because I thought that Amber was in a tin room 20 feet away from the mic.
Well,
So I guess my question that I'll pose to anybody is, would you say that, like, everybody kind of thinks of therapy naturally as being a reactive thing? Like, if something is wrong, I go to therapy to fix it. That's kind of backwards, right? Like, is that right? I mean, I don't know.
It's very backwards because so what happens typically is that you wait until you have like a chaotic situation, something that is going a dynamic that is going really bad or that you're struggling a lot with, and then you seek help. Whereas in an ideal world, we would all just be consistently having a neutral someone who is equipped and trained in our kind of life situations. And as they start arising, you're already tackling it like at the bud, like from the root, right? It's like, oh, this is popping up for you again. This seems to be a cycle for you. Let's understand why. Where is this coming from and how do we work with it? Like, how would our lives be different if we did that instead of waiting?
Right.
And now getting a little bit more personal, this is a conversation that I had with Jeff, with my partner, not 2 days ago.
Mayor. You're talking about the mayor?
Yeah, the mayor. Yeah.
The mayor who somehow can't fix your internet problems and can't get the squirrels out of your house.
The squirrel is on a lease, okay?
I question his ability to run like a pretty big city outside of a bigger city, but like a pretty big city when he can't like get the squirrels. Anyway, it's fine.
So this is the conversation that we were having. I'm like, listen, so right now we're in a pandemic. It just coincided that the beginning of our life together has been all of us together at the home. However, that is not reality, because when things start opening up again, I know his schedule is insane. His life is busy. It's going to be crazy. And I'm like, how are we going to cope with that when life goes back to normal? And you're not here and I'm parenting alone, or I'm having to take care of this. I'm like, I'm not prepared for it. I don't feel prepared for any of that because that has not been the experience so far. Can we start seeing a therapist right now? We do
He
not have
has
any
a few
problem.
kids too, right?
He has one daughter, yeah. So I'm like,
So
let's
you've
start seeing a
got four
therapist.
girls in the house. Right.
4 girls in the house, yeah. So if we start being kind of like proactive and tackling it before the problems actually arise, don't you think we're going to be saving ourselves a lot of contempt and resentment and anger and unspoken things that were left unsaid? Of course. So let's freaking do that. So that's what we're doing now.
I question, first of all, if anybody wants to monitor the progress, it's at Jedi Mayo on Instagram. I question whether anything, if anybody were to be in a relationship with you, Carolina, I question whether anything would ever be left unsaid.
Right.
That is a very good question. Not on my side. No, I'm like, I have things to say. Like, they're coming out of my mouth at this moment.
But that's a really good point, and I've heard that from a lot of really well-functioning, healthy couples. But and this is, I guess, where the point comes from. In every case where people have seen a therapist, like a couples therapist, preventative, like the relationship's great, they just, they want I like what you said, like a neutral party. They want a neutral party that they could talk to, that's trained, that's equipped, that's not on anybody's side. Like they're letting them talk about it. In every single case, it's because they had a prior really, really damaging negative experience in a relationship. And they don't want that to happen again. Versus, you don't have to have anything go wrong, right?
Right.
It's okay to deal with shit beforehand. Like, we're fitness professionals. Like, our entire purpose is to make sure stuff doesn't go wrong before it does.
Exactly. Imagine if our clients came to us before putting on the 75 pounds, like just as a way of preventative and maintaining what they have going, right? The world would be different. But we tend to be reactive creatures. So this is kind of like your call to action to stop being reactive and start taking this seriously and taking action. And now that is very difficult when you are suffering about a depression. And I totally want to recognize that because some of our listeners may be going through that right now and you feel paralyzed. It's a literal feeling like you can't move, you can barely breathe, you can't do anything. Like just the thought of existing one more day is difficult and it's dreadful and it's awful. And I've been there. And if that's your case right now, I am so sorry and feel free to reach out. I'm here because I get that. And don't like, I don't know, like I don't know how to go about this part because as fitness professionals, I feel we do carry a lot of the stigma that, if I was really healthy, then I would never be suffering depression because maybe I'm not exercising enough or maybe I'm not eating good enough. It has nothing to do with that. You could be doing everything quote unquote perfectly and still your brain go through a switch in which you suffer about a depression. Like it has nothing to do with anything that you caused yourself, and professional help is the only thing that we can recommend, and that has to be a step taken by you and nobody else, unfortunately, which is the most difficult part because again, you feel stuck and you feel immobile. So just do that, reach out.
And know you're not alone, and know that like there's nothing wrong with you. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's something that it's almost embarrassing that it's not spoken about more.
Yeah,
and that's so wrong common. And that needs to change.
It's so common. It's so common. And especially now because a lot of us as entrepreneurs and we work alone, right? So if you don't have like you're not showing up at an office, you don't have people that you're constantly talking to, it's super isolating. So how are you reaching out for help? Like, are you at all? Like, is there anybody that you can talk to? And if not, like, who can be that person for you? Can it be somebody else, maybe in our groups? Like, because so many people struggle with this again, that if you were to mention that, I can guarantee you that other people would raise their hands too and say like, hey, same boat right now.
Right. Let's time's up. I gotta go. I got a hot date with my wife who's waiting outside to get lunch, even though I've already had 2 breakfasts. It's been a good day. We can but I want to pick up this conversation again. I would love to vocalize this a lot more. I'd love to discuss this a lot more in an open place where we're not giving answers, where we're basically just saying like, look, you know, there's varying degrees of this, like,
Yeah.
but everybody's dealt with feelings of not good enough. Everybody's felt with feelings of I can't do this. Oh, what, like,
And you can still be successful
Gratification,
regardless,
like-
right? Like I want that to be kind of like part of the takeaway of the show is that no matter what the life situation is or the mental health struggles, you can still make like a kick-ass living and have projects that excite you and work with people that you love. Like it's not all or nothing. You can still
Right.
have a wonderful, wonderful life even with all of that.
Absolutely. What a great episode for opening the discussion, and for the people out there that are listening to this episode, which I think is one of our better episodes. You know, if there's any takeaway here, you know, let's sort of distance ourselves from any stigma of what morality or judgment is involved in prioritizing your mental wellness in the same way that you do your physical wellness. We understand this implicitly as fitness professionals, right? You go to the gym, you know, you don't exercise because something's wrong with your body. You exercise to maintain it, to honor it, right? To honor your physicality, honor your mental state in the same way, with doing the exercise that's required to be your healthiest mental self. And there's nothing wrong with having a coach. As a matter of fact, it is implied that it's a great idea to have a coach to help you figure these things out, get your reps in, so to speak, and be as healthy as you can for as long a period of your life as you can. Once again, we've solved your problems here on the Online Trainer Show, even if your problem is only the stigma of mental wellness and operating through that mental wellness to be the best coach that you can be for other people. We know that great coaches have great coaches. So go get yourself a great coach. You're allowed to do that. That's normal. Let's normalize, you know, the 360-degree health of ourselves and our clients as individuals, and you know, be better. You know, be better. Hold space. Be better. Learn more. And prioritize all of your health. There's somebody out there for you that can help you through whatever you're going through. It may not be Catalina, but there is somebody out there. Generally speaking, just sort of stay away from Catalina.
I think the best
Learn
life
nothing else
advice,
here
okay?
today.
The best.
Yeah. She's got things going on outside of the mental thing, and she's squirrels, and you just don't want to be a part of it. So we'll see you next time here on the Online Trainer Show with more riveting information, witty repartee.
Witty
and,
repartee.
Witty
Ren.
repartee.
Ren.
Yes.
Would
yes,
you like
Jonathan.
some Cool Whip?
Some Cool Whip?
Stay cool.
Okay, I'm
Like
out.
some
I'm gone.
When say cool. When say cool. Now say
Cool.
whip. Good. Now put them together.
Cool
Cool
Whip.
Whip.
Some Cool Whip. Whatever you say. Well, exciting episode of the Online Trainer Show. You can catch the show notes at onlinetrainer.com/podcast. We'd love to see you there whenever you'd like to come by and give us your best and most witty review. Jingle, jingle.
Cool Whip.
Amber hates us.
This is the Online Trainer Show. Trainer Show. Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show.
We shouldn't have a podcast.